welcome to Movie of the Year, the only podcast with the science and the just screaming to determine the best movie for any given year. But that's not what we're doing today, everybody. Today what we're going to do is determine the best comedy for one specific year, and that year is 2019. Let me introduce everybody. First off, I'm Greg. Hello. Hi. Thanks for listening. Up next is Taylor.
That's me.
How you doing, bud?
I'm doing fine.
You ready to tackle these 2019 comedies?
Nope.
No? Yeah. You know what? You can't prepare yourself. You think you can, but you can't.
I don't watch television.
Yeah.
don't.
Okay, you could have prepared yourself actually a little bit, now that I think about it.
Not even watch these shows. Watch a show.
Yeah,
No.
dude, you gotta watch some.
I don't own a TV.
Oh, I didn't know you were smart and cool.
That is definitely the longest anyone's ever gone without mentioning that. Books from Unnatural 20s. How are you doing, Books?
Oh, I'm doing great.
Do you own a TV?
I do own a TV.
Even though your nickname is Books?
Even though my nickname's Books. I own a TV, and it's great to store books in front of.
That's a good system. And all the way from, am I reading this correctly, Denver, Mike?
Yep. Me and the Last Dinosaur just kicking it together.
He's not from Denver. That's his name is Denver.
No, he moved here, and he's my friend and a whole lot more.
Yeah. Wait, a whole lot more?
Hand jobs.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we're dinosaurs with benefits.
Also from Unnatural 20s, Cassie. Hello, Cassie.
Hi, Greg.
You're really good at picking Oscar nominees, apparently.
Yeah, you guys, I was not prepared for that. That was a big boost to my ego.
You did a really good job.
That was a real bummer for mine, honestly.
Yeah, and mine as well. Taylor and I have been trying to comfort each other, but it's been pretty tough.
Did you guys see how Cassie looked all three losers right in the face and said, I did not prepare at all for that?
Yeah. One of the movies she picked was Howard the Duck. So
From 1984.
And
This was
also
its year.
joining me, current reigning best friend, Ryan. Hello, Ryan. How you doing?
You're not going to read all the Game of Thrones like titles I gave you for the intro?
The ginger with the minger.
Like,
Everybody's creepy uncle.
Dragons.
Ye old stinky fingers.
Okay, that's probably enough
That's
of those.
probably,
Yeah.
I'll just put this scroll
Did you
down
say
now.
Imagine Dragons?
I said of Dragons should go after all those titles.
I always
yeah.
felt like Imagine Dragons is the least necessary name ever because, bro, way ahead of you.
always doing it.
Right? I'm already there. You can just call your band Dragons, huh? And I'm like, yup, Dragons.
Whoa.
All day.
And you're like, yup, because every band just needs a response to their title from you.
Weezer? Uh-huh.
Yep.
You betcha. So, guys, 2019, what's the state of 2019 comedies?
I think Colorado.
Where Denver is?
Somewhat-
It's funny again.
Somewhat-
Comedy, for a few years back, all comedies were like, what if they made you cry, motherfucker? What if we were never funny? And comedy, it's a nice balance. It's kind of like a realistic grounding, maybe crush your soul a little, but what if we also made jokes again?
Just crush
We're
your
allowed.
soul.
We're allowed to be funny again.
I mean, yeah, the blending is so weird. Like, is this comedy a drama? Why is Chernobyl so funny? You know, like, we don't know what genre it is
Because
anymore.
those dogs, they're not right.
Those dead-ass dogs.
Yeah, right?
Dead ass. But I will say that I think now that we've gone from peak TV to avalanche TV, I think that drama took the hit. And comedy is just as good.
Yeah, or maybe even better. I feel like personally a very exciting time for comedy because, like Mike said, comedy got important for a while, and that was neat. I'm glad that we
Yeah,
did that.
very cool.
Yeah, but now it feels like comedy is still very important by being really good comedy. And sometimes those things are like making commentaries, but sometimes it's just like being really good and really funny and really goofy. I feel like 2019 better comedy year than 2018. Is it too hard to differentiate between those 2 years?
I mean, isn't it the same 8 shows?
It's the same 8 shows for sure. No, but there's some new stuff here.
We got some frosh.
Some of these comedies don't renew every year, and so we get them like on the off years. I bet some of these don't even ever face off against each other.
Yeah.
Because the new way you do comedy is we'll let you know when we have 10 episodes.
Yeah.
I mean,
in like 3 years, there'll be another season.
Back off.
A couple of weeks ago, we cut 8 comedies, and all of those 8 would have made their own bracket. Like, a perfect bracket, you know? So the fact that those are gone is sad and shows you how great comedy is right now.
Yeah, so we did the first round last week, and now we are down to 8 comedies that we have watched the fudge out of, and that we are basically experts on. Is that saying too much, Ryan?
Yes. No, it is saying absolutely too much. Do you want to know the 8 that died?
Yes, let's hear about the 8 that died.
It's been a while.
Should we all hum taps?
R.I.P.
No longer in the bracket because we didn't think they were good enough. The Good Place,
Oh,
That's crazy.
that's rude.
Schitt's Creek,
Wow.
BoJack Horseman, Tuca and Birdie,
Fast.
Sex Education, Veep, Glow, What We Do in the Shadows.
I have to say, some of those feel downright disrespectful of us.
Yeah.
Like, there's some comedies in there that I don't think we have the right to say are not allowed to be considered in this. But we did that last week, and what we're going to do today is we're going to pick the best, but we're starting with just 8, right? Do I tell the people now, or do we unveil it real slowly? Okay, so the ones we're going to talk about on this episode are Fleabag, Better Things, I Think You Should Leave, the other 2, Russian Doll, Rami, Barry, and Pen 15. So there's some new kids on the block here, right? And there's some old kind of like...
Marky Mark is stomping all over this list.
He wasn't in New Kids on the
That was
Block,
his fucking
idiot.
brother,
It's
you
the fucking
stupid
bus.
son of a
my
bitch.
gosh.
It's Donnie.
It's Donnie.
That's Donnie.
Okay,
Oh my God.
we're
That's
gonna
a
go
Donnie
to we're gonna
Brooke.
go to a break.
You're talking about Johnny and Joey and Donnie, fucking idiot.
Okay, we'll take this off air. We're going to go on a break so we can scream at each other for a couple hours. But when we come back, we're going to get to some of these matchups. And we're back with our first matchup. It's number 1 overall seed, Fleabag, versus number 9 overall seed, Better Things. One taught us all about how hot priests, longing, and jumpsuits can be. And the other taught us moms and actors are basically treated like animals. Fleabag returned in 2019 and dominated the cultural conversation for at least a month. Better Things is a show that no one off this podcast has ever seen or probably heard of. Books, as a smart person, do you think that popularity gap matters?
Ooh, that's a good question. No.
As a smart person.
As a smart person, because most of society sucks, so no,
Okay.
the popularity gap doesn't matter.
Oh,
this
that's
is
the
our-
smartest smart person thing
This
you
is
could
our
say.
show, so I think we can make up the rules whatever we want. But
Yeah.
Is anybody here? I'll open it up to everybody else. Are you moved at all by the fact that Fleabag is like the biggest show of 2019 versus Better Things, a show that honestly, I swear I've never heard anybody other than you guys ever even mention it.
I also haven't. And this is the first year that I actually watched the show
Uh-huh.
because Louis C.K. is finally no longer executive producing it.
His name's still on it, though. That's always fun. Every
Yeah,
episode.
once you create,
Yeah.
that's why God's name is on everything.
That's how
boy.
his fucking daughters feel, for sure, dude.
Oh, boy. Oh, shit.
I'm sure he's put his name on them more than one way.
Ew.
What?
Awful.
Baby tattoos? He's talking about the horrific trend of baby tattoos.
I move that be stricken from the record.
I don't even know what it would be in reference to.
You guys all knew halfway through the sentence that it wasn't a good idea and could have stopped me.
And yet we did it, because we could have an opportunity to judge you.
But yeah, no.
I think
no
the
one else.
popularity matters in the last round. When you're
Okay.
whittling down to 16 in those fights,
Ooh.
you're like, well, what matters more of the year? Now
I wish I
let's
could give
talk
points.
about quality.
Yeah.
Mike.
Mork.
Even talking about quality, though.
Skadoosh.
Are we leaning towards you had a good run, Better Things? Congratulations.
I agree with Mike. Like, I think that this is such an easy slam dunk for Fleabag because one of the it was everywhere.
Yeah.
And 2, it's an hard to argue with borderline perfect show.
Yeah, right.
Yes, it's a very good show.
It's not just the fact that it's popular.
But I spent
It's
a lot
popular
of
for a good
time
reason.
thinking about this last night, and I do not think that this is a slam dunk. I do
Oh.
think that both of them do similar things great. I think that they're both sort of like these half biopic, half not ways of, in a minimalist way, talking about like the human existence and what it's like to just have be up in your head and have these life problems that
I
aren't.
felt like this season of Better Things was way more obvious that it was it
Yeah.
was autobiographical. There's a part at which a show that she's been on is mentioned, and it's not King of the Hill that they say, but it's like Champ of the Mill.
Yeah. King of the Kill, which sounds awesome. But this season of Better Things, because I've seen all of them, the other 2 seasons, the first 2 seasons were a little bit more gimmicky. You know, there was ones that were like, they had a funeral for the mom, and there was one with a big dance.
Who's still alive?
Who's still
Right,
alive?
yeah, Phil.
No, they had Pamela Adlon's funeral, where they laid her down and they gave eulogies for her.
Dude, that was such a good one.
Yeah, I didn't cry, but you probably did.
But it does, this season, those gimmick, that funeral episode was great, but this season relaxed.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
now they're just making, we know all the characters, and they're all growing up enough that they all feel more lived in. And I think if we weren't getting Curb back this year, that Pamela Adlon's hat is fully in the ring for our generation's. What's Bernie Sanders' real name?
Larry David.
Curb Your Enthusiasm. Larry David. Thank you.
Bernard Sanders.
Yeah, I was like, what is
Bernard
his real-
Sanderson?
Do you have a different name?
But I think the relaxing is what helped it. Like, without the dance sequences and the funerals, like the best that this show is like she's making a dinner for like not even that many people, you know, and we get to see all of the ins and outs of that dinner. And I think Taylor sort of hit it on the head. Like, it's not just that we don't like Louis C.K., but the fact that all dudes were taken away from the behind the scenes and replaced with her.
Yeah.
She co-wrote every episode. She directed every episode. Now we can chill back. We're not worried about viewership, obviously. Not a show that has ever been worried about viewership. And I thought it was near perfect. And when I'm looking at the two, Better Things is just it's just better filmmaking. It's just a more polished, like more realized show.
It's more real. It's more realistic, I think. And I would say its style is to be almost less stylized. And then that seems to work. I really feel like you're being pulled into her world and seeing what it's really like to be in there day in, day out. But I don't experience the same levels of joy watching Better Things that I did watching Fleabag. And Fleabag is about how hard life is as well. But I just feel there's a little bit more joy there.
Yeah. And I also, I think I would push back against your better filmmaking comment, because Fleabag, I think, is a extremely well-made show.
I think it's an extremely well-written show.
She looks into the camera a lot, though, guys. And
you're not supposed to do that as an actress.
Yeah, they
You're
ended
not-
the season with her accidentally looking right down the barrel, and it's like,
The director's supposed to say cut before that happens.
Or at least edit it out or something. But she almost smirks, like, whoops, I got caught, you know? But
That's why you can't have a tyrannical star. Like, everybody's afraid of her on that set. She's a notorious monster. Phoebe, throw you off that Waller Bridge.
Jesus Christ.
Oh, damn!
I have to say, I like when actors turn to the camera. Judi Dench did it in Cats, and that's one of my favorite movies.
All right, so that's a point against Fleabag then, I would say.
Shit.
No, but like speaking as a dumb person, like I
have to preface everything I say with that from now
just so
on.
everyone knows.
Let's go to Cassie, resident dumb person, in the booth.
No, but I don't know if it's because like I just jumped on with Better Things, but to me, I had the complete opposite experience. Like to me, it felt like when you go to a mega church and they just start playing like sad music, so you like feel emotional. Like that's how most of the scenes felt for me. I was like, I'm supposed to be getting something like some emotional moment from this, but like I just don't relate.
So you didn't feel like it was a real. Oh, okay.
I had the similar feeling, but I think it lends to the fact that I didn't watch the first
Yeah, it could be.
2 seasons.
Because
so.
you
Yeah.
weren't one of the people on this podcast who talked about it a bunch.
I have to say,
Yeah.
though, honestly, I am going to disagree with that, though, because this show very much, every episode kind of floats in its own
Yeah,
space.
it's its own little
so
short
I don't
film.
think you have to be, like, locked in. You spend every episode of the show being like, how are these people related? Oh, they're brother and sister. Oh, they're ex-wife and ex-husband. Like, that's what it – so, like, don't count that. Or, like, don't say you have to consider
Just
that.
consider
because,
that.
Yeah, the way the show is meant to be approached, I think, is very much you could pick up any episode and it's supposed to feel a certain way.
Yeah, and I think that goes to, like, I think that's sort of how it's on purpose, and it's sort of how families work. Like, I remember growing up, and still today, every family I meet that's not mine, I'm both a little bit envious of. I wish I was in that family, and so glad I'm not.
Yeah.
And this show definitely has that. But stuff like, what's the main character's name? It's not Pamela, is it?
Sam.
Sam.
Samala.
Sam, yeah.
Samala Padlon, the fact that she calls her mom Phil has never been explained.
Yeah.
It's just one of those, like, family
But it says so
picadillos.
fucking much,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Or the fact that every time they walk up and down the stairs, they touch that guy on the head.
Yeah.
That little statue. That's just a thing that families have, you know? And it's not explained.
Yeah, there is a shot from, I think, the first episode of this third season where you follow, the camera tracks the family all the way up their stairs and into their individual rooms. And then the camera, like, leaves Samala Adlon in with one of her daughters, and it comes all the way out, reversing the shot. But when it gets to that guy at the top of their stairs,
holds.
it's on him for,
Yeah.
like, 20 seconds. And it's because, like, that house, but specifically that dude, is like a character of the show. He's a member of their stupid family.
The one thing I will say about not watching every episode is that we had time, maybe you guys didn't, to get used to how awful her two oldest daughters can be.
Oh, yeah.
That takes some getting used to.
It's interesting because now the show is her with daughters of, it feels like, every difficult age. Because for a while, the little one was just a little girl. And so, yeah, Duke, so totally her friend. But at this point, she's got, like, the 3 of the really tough ages all at once. And maybe you guys can answer this. I understand the mother-daughter relationship can be fraught. And she's got 3 different ones, and they're all so difficult, and they just scream at each other constantly.
In the second episode of the season, I think, Duke, who was always, like, the precious baby, they're at, like, back to school night or parent-teacher or something. And she's like, Duke, don't leave me. I don't want to be alone. And Duke's like, let me be with my friend. And then shoves her somewhere between the chest and the throat.
Yeah.
Just, like, assaults her and says, fuck you, Mom, and runs away.
And the next episode, she just gets like has the most intense cuss out for like a minute.
Yeah.
Yes.
Buck wild.
Yeah. But then what I've always loved about this show is that happens, and to me, where I grew up in a family where we didn't express ourselves that way,
Right.
that feels like a tragedy to me. But then because they do express themselves that way to each other as part of their love language, in 2 seconds they're like hugging and like, it's okay. Like it's so weird how they can go from just like screaming and fighting to like there being genuine love there.
I was not allowed to treat my mom like that when I was a kid. And on the flip side, I have never said that I love her, and I don't. So, take the good and the bad, I guess.
Well, Ryan doesn't love his mom, but which show do you guys like? So I'm going to go around the horn. Is it going to be Fleabag or Better Things, Taylor?
Fleabag!
All right, Books?
Fleabag.
All right.
It's not easy, but Fleabag.
All right, Cassie?
Fleabag.
Ryan?
As someone with 5 votes, Better Things!
Whoa! Congratulations to Better Things for getting those votes. But Fleabag, you are moving on. When we come back, we're going to do another one of these crazy matchups. We are back, and you're not going to believe this, but the number 13 seed is I Think You Should Leave versus the number 5 seed, The Other Two. I Think You Should Leave is a nonstop fever dream of a sketch show delivered to us early by Santa Claus.
And Rudolph.
The Other Two is a sitcom that asks the question, what would it be like to have Justin Bieber as a little brother and to yourself be unexceptional? Cassie, The Other Two is a really good show. Anything you want to say about it before I fucking drop kick it into outer space?
I mean, yes, it was a very good show. I had like a lot of hopes for it, and it didn't really let me down.
Yeah.
There's like some really great characters. I love
Chase Dreams.
Chase Dreams.
Streeter. Ken Marino's Streeter.
Streeter is the
Streeter.
absolute best. That alone is like my favorite part of this. I love an idiot like sidekick, idiot assistant. Like him just instantly when he came on scene, he's like, Chase means everything to me. And I was like,
He is
I
my
love
best friend.
It's like he's on the circle.
Yeah.
No, yeah, The Other Two, very good show.
And we should also
fucking
mention
good
that
show.
it has our boy Taylor. Taylor is one of the two, and I appreciate that.
Drew Taylor.
Yeah. Listen, Drew was incredible in this show. When their moment, I think it's the first episode where his boss is like, I watched a new movie. It was called Tristan Gets Ridden by Oldie. He's like, I think that was a porn, and he just turns away. That was the moment I was like, this is my favorite show. I love this show. It would be my favorite show if I Think You Should Leave didn't exist.
Let's not move on yet.
Yeah, I would like to push back
Let's not
a
just
lot.
scream. So another great thing about The Other Two is we talked about how comedy got very serious for a while, and it's been back. But before comedy got very serious, it got, what if we had the nastiest fucking people? What if they're all the biggest dirtbags and hard to watch? And this, at the beginning, this feels like a new It's Always Sunny. It feels like these were going to be monsters being monstrous at everybody
You're
around
the worst,
them.
difficult people.
And there's a real core of sweetness.
Oh, hell yeah.
And I think that in an almost like it's Parks and Rec tucked into difficult people and You're the Worst in a way that you're like, oh, there's real soul and heart here, because watching the older siblings, they should be monsters to their little brother, but they love him.
Yeah.
Him so
The first,
much.
is it the end of the first episode where he crawls in bed with them?
Yes.
Oh, guys.
It would be very easy for it to be like, wow, we're jealous of our brother. And they like sort of flirt with that.
Well,
but for the
of course
most part,
they are on some
Right.
level jealous, but they're not like so embittered about
But
it.
for the most part, they're like worried about their brother. They're like,
Yeah.
this seems bad for you.
I totally agree with Mike. I feel like that this is the end of an era where it all sort of came together, and those shows that just have the two people barking like expletive-filled insults at people is sort of slowing down, and this is what we get. This is like the capper on it, where we have, it's kind of a high premise for a show like this, and how they do it, how they they make it a part of every episode, but it's still about this two, like brother and sister, I think is like exactly what we need right now.
And what grounds it in reality, and it's a pretty hot arch show, but it's that they are like that with each other about the world, but they're both huge fucking pussies when they're in the world. Like, and that's very real. I'm so tough when I'm just with you guys. And then I interact with anybody else. I'm just like, hey, thank you. Nice to meet you, sir.
Mike will like put us in headlocks all the time when he's hanging out with us, and then headlock no one in the real world.
Yeah, we're all those kind of people that to give advice. We're like, well, what I would have said is "fuck you, Buster," and smack the coffee out of her hand. And then in real life, we're like, actually, I ordered a mocha, but then you served me a cup of hot water, and you know what? That's
But
okay.
this is
I'll just
okay.
drink
I'll
it.
just drink
That's
the hot
fine.
water.
That's
I would
good.
straight up just be like, I guess I'm drinking hot water now. I wouldn't even bring up. I
I
wouldn't
have
bring up a
literally been
moment
to a
of it.
restaurant where they forgot to give me my food while my whole family was eating. I did not eat dinner that day because I just couldn't say shit about it.
What about, did your family notice?
No,
Yeah,
they
your
thought I
family's bad.
didn't order anything.
Everyone's just waiting for your food to come and just looking at your plate.
They just figured I decided not to eat dinner that night.
They didn't even do the thing where they each take off like an eighth of their plate and put it on your plate.
Scrape it over.
Yeah.
And I find it very nice in the other two to see Ken Marino now, who's been in so much stuff that's important to us, but also Molly Shannon.
And Molly Shannon
She's
is the
having
shit,
herself
dude.
a career. Molly Shannon, check her out, up and comer. She's doing a good job.
I sort of have to do this now. The other show, although has very funny moments, ultimately doesn't have, and I understand it's a skit show, but even in a skit show way, almost has like negative, reverse, repetitive character development where it's essentially the same pitch with a couple of words switched around. And we have our favorites. And you can tell what our favorites are because we quote them every day of our lives.
Non-fucking
Every
stop.
goddamn
The
day.
Tim Robinson character that had to fill only like 90 minutes of an entire season.
Yeah, for sure.
There are many sketches, maybe more than the gold, that it does get old. You know, it's basically the
Disagree.
same character.
Disagree.
Well, it's essentially.
Well, we're in a battle right now, Taylor. I got to say something.
Isn't it the same skit over and over again?
Yeah.
With a
I
very
mean-
small change to the premise.
Yeah,
I thought.
Yeah, because he like in interviews he's talked about. He pitched it. It's like all these everyday little tips you get in with people, and it's the person who always makes the wrong choice.
Yeah.
So it's just like he's never us. He's never saying no apologies. The opening skit of
With
him
the door.
being like, no,
Door.
I was here yesterday,
Yeah.
and
It
I pulled it, so it's fine.
But that is the whole show, right? The whole show is
Yes.
he's obviously wrong about what way the door pulls, and he would rather pull it off its fucking hinges.
But I do feel like but each thing is a different aspect of
Yeah.
that, and that's sort of like to knock it for that. It's sort of like saying all comedy is an incongruous situation that doesn't quite make sense to real
No,
life.
I wasn't knocking it for that
Right.
reason. I think that's part of the genius of the show is that it does the same skit
Yes.
like 14 times in a row, and it's funny every single
And
time.
what I'm saying is that it is brilliant and is definitely one of the 8 best comedies of the year. But I just think compared to what the other show is capable of and what it showed, I think it falls short.
Isn't that just it getting kneecapped though for being a sketch comedy?
Absolutely not.
No.
No.
Do you think there's a
It-
sketch comedy that wouldn't have the problem of like character development, as you said?
Absolutely. Yeah, I think that if this was a Black Lady sketch show on here instead, which did not even make the top 16, that would be totally different.
But Ryan,
There-
not our fault.
that was because
That's the
that was because of racism.
That
if
was
you
critics.
remember,
That was
Ryan.
racist critics.
And sexism. We're intersectional here.
But in that show, we all skit shows will have a poor batting average, right?
Yeah.
I think that they almost all will hit under 500. But we had so much stuff, so much more dynamic stuff in that show. And then also, we got the gift of character development with checking in with the ladies post-apocalypse in every episode. I think that could move on. I don't know about this one.
Well, I think that's crazy.
Yeah, I think that's a stupid opinion to have. I respect that you gave it, and I appreciate that, but you're a dumb person with dumb
You
ideas.
used complete sentences, which I was like, wow, that's great. But everything you said was nonsensical, and so I was like, wow,
Right,
that's stupid.
So does Cassie no longer have to start off as a dumb person? Is that now Ryan's?
I pass it on.
I think we
first?
trade off every round.
Well, we are nothing if not a show that has opinions, and now it is time to render our final opinion. So, Ryan, I feel like you kind of let the cat right out of the dang old bag, so I'm going to start with you. What do you think should move on? I think you should leave, or the other two?
I think you should leave.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, like, ultimately, and like Taylor said in the last matchup, maybe Better Things has had a good run. I think that might be the case for this show, you know, but I do think the other two is great and needed someone to talk about it. But I think we have one last chance as friends to launch our favorite friend show into the friendosphere.
Yeah.
Cassie, what do you think as a dumb person?
As a dumb person,
Yeah.
I think you should leave.
All right, very good. Mike?
As an average person, I agree with what Ryan was saying, but I think the batting, the hits, and I think you should leave are so fucking strong that propels it forward.
Does it have a bad batting average? I
No,
can't wait to get to
absolutely
that.
not.
We're going to get into that next round. Nobody say anything. Books?
When I first looked at this bracket, I had only seen the other two, and I thought my vote was going to go very differently. But I think you should leave.
All right, very good.
I think you should leave.
Yeah, okay, I definitely will. But not before I tell you that I think you should leave is moving on. When we come back, our next matchup. We are back with our next matchup. The number 2 overall seed, Russian Doll, versus the number 10 seed, Rami. What if we made the whole show out of the Groundhog Day episode, asks Russian Doll, as we see our sweet birthday baby live the same day over and over until she learns to open herself up to other people. Rami asks, what if A24, the production company behind countless amazing movies, made a TV show about the Muslim American experience that was so good you almost felt bad just calling it a comedy? Books, which of these two made more of an impact on you? The high-concept Russian Doll or the down-to-earth Rami?
That's just a shit question, Greg.
All right. You're wonderful.
I'm sorry.
And I refuse to answer.
I refuse to answer.
Coming in hot. I guess the question is meant to emphasize that they are very different in one key way, which is that one is a very naturalistic show in Rami, and the other very high concept. Not many people have the experience of a Russian doll situation.
Not many. Few
So,
select people.
Do you feel like along that axis there's anything that like makes you lean towards one or the other?
There are aspects of one of the shows, which I'll get to later, that I think had a bigger impact on like reflection. But I think Rami's doing incredible things.
Yeah.
And so I just revealed it.
So you like Russian Doll and you're going to vote for Russian Doll?
Doll, I think, is more impactful in a kind of, I don't know, it's just different.
Experience, maybe?
Yeah.
The experience of watching Russian Doll as it unfolds?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I could see that. Anybody else? I guess part of what I'm getting at with the question is it feels like Rami has an advantage here because it's so real. It's
not just that it's so real. It's like probably our most grounded show on this list. Like he's just a normal dude. It's also that like without being preachy or very dramatic comedy, it's like the biggest capital I important of our shows. It's crazy that it's this far after 9/11 we finally got the show, but maybe it's not because we're a terrible country, so it took this long to be like, that's a normal funny dude. I want to see his life. The way they recontextualize everything is mind-blowing while remaining super fucking funny.
Yeah, I think it actually is at a disadvantage just because, like, we've gotten the 2010s were all about comedian has slice of life, funny-ish show about sort of what their life is like, you know? And now Rami is like the 20th person to do that. And when you go into a show like this, you're just saying, like, all right, how is it going to be different? What slightly different angle are you going to be giving me that is different than, like, I mean, I don't know what else to call it but the Louis paradigm, you know? And his religion is a big part of it, but also he is such a big part of it. He's not in your face. He's not like a big and belligerent comedian, but he's so effortlessly charming throughout whatever happens that it helps all of like the dramatic pills and white guilt. Like it's so much easier to swallow.
Yeah, he does a lot with expression and with reaction, and it is a very subtle performance. What I liked about it was it. In a way, it takes us to a place that I was not familiar with, which is like I don't really know what it's like to be a New Jersey-based Muslim American.
Don't sell yourself short.
You can do it.
But in the same way that another A24 film, if I'm correct, Ryan, The Farewell, by showing that experience, that is the quintessential like American story. I have this other culture that I also feel very close to, but I'm trying, I'm just an American kid, but I'm trying to figure out which of the two worlds I want to have a foot in and which I really want to belong to, and both kind of like have some pluses and some minuses. I feel like that story, as it shows us something new that we maybe haven't seen before, at the same time, it's just that same tale that we tell over and over again, which endeared me to it because that is so true. We all exist somewhere in between these cultures and their ideals, and we'll never really be a part of any one of them.
I think like that's what's really good about it is it's showing this new perspective and everything. But it's also like if you take that out of it, it's still just a very good comedy with very strong characters.
Yeah, for sure.
USA, we got characters, but they all like
shout out USA.
like,
In the show about the Muslim in 9/11, USA. Royal Pains.
And that was part of like one of the things that I held against it for a while is that we were just following just Rami, but then a couple more episodes, like we started like a whole episode was from the sister's perspective.
The sister is
Then
awesome.
the mom, I love the sister, and I was like, well, now I got nothing against the show.
Shit.
The one thing I had against it is that he wrote himself to be like an angel who had a disabled friend. They've been best friends their entire life.
Yeah.
So that's not the. I want to tell you, Greg. Speaking of A24. Andy Greenwald is a TV critic, movie critic.
Hell yeah, he is.
He
shout out Andy Greenwald.
Mike is familiar with him because Mike asked him to be on a Pop Filter podcast, and he did not respond at all.
No matter how many times I tweeted.
Get us our no, brother. We deserve that.
The other day, I heard that on a podcast. He said, I think Midsommar got brought up, and he said, "Oh, yet another A24 horror movie that I won't watch," but of course read the entire Wikipedia and talk about. Somebody's on your corner, bro.
I know, dude.
He just reads about horror movies on Wikipedia.
Get on
jam.
Andy's corner, write a book about mid-'90s to early 2000s emo, and say, "What, Andy? I can do it too." What?
Also, he's a showrunner of a show on USA.
USA. Which is what Muslims in New Jersey cheered as the towers came down.
We are big Natasha Lyonne bros around here.
Do you know that's not super common?
What?
Since this show came out, I found out that a lot of people have an issue with just her whole...
What?
essence.
Fuck off.
Her whole amazingness? Her
let's-
20-year-old
let's-
brilliance?
But I'm a
remember,
cheerleader.
This culture fucking hates women, so that's not surprising. And it manifests itself in a lot of different ways. So anytime you hear that there's like a big prominent woman and a whole bunch of people fucking hate her, yeah, it's because she's a woman.
I will say this, though, about that right now.
Nice.
I could see... I've always loved her persona, but I can see how, like, you can make a case that her Orange is the New Black character is not that much different than the girl who went to American Pie High School. Russian Doll is... She's still in the persona. She's still Natasha Leggero. Is that her name?
Yeah.
But,
You got it in one.
but this is the best acting I have ever
Hell
seen
yeah,
from
dude.
her ever.
She fucking rules in this. Is it crazy to say this is the best she's been in anything?
No.
Because she was in Beverly Hillbillies.
But
Everybody. I don't
but
know.
I'm a
That's
cheerleader.
what I love her.
Yeah. That's why I don't know if it was going just like into the deep end to say that, but she's so good in this, and there's a lot of range in this because she's like a very desperate person when it starts.
I think this is hard. High concept or not, or introspective, and it's not a monolith to be a Muslim American. These are the two most subtle performances. They're both people who are constantly fronting and putting on a persona in the world of their show. And when you see the cracks, it's not giant gushing cracks. It's very little reactions to things that fucking breaks your heart.
Phrase.
Can we get sound on giant
Giant
gushing cracks? Everybody. And I do have to say, I really did, while I was watching it, enjoy the conceit of, if you're going to do Groundhog Day, you got to do something else, right? So the disappearing people, that was rad. And there were moments during this show where, you guys, I was spooked. And I was like, should I be just reading about this on Wikipedia? Right? This might be a little too much Roll Gregster here.
But then also on the flip side, which I think was mostly done by DC's Legends of Tomorrow on the CW, and then finished off with Russian Doll, it's now a trope. Like you're not stealing from Groundhog Day anymore.
Yeah.
You're taking a classic American trope and putting a spin on it. You know, even though
And
it's from the
happy
90s.
Death Day to you.
Thanks, bud.
And so now you're taking it, but you're tweaking it, right?
Right.
And the way they treated disappearing people, but also there's another dude in the loop with you.
Right.
When they introduced other dude, very surprised.
JJ?
Yeah, dude, a lot of surprise there because that's the last thing you expect, and they like see each other and recognize each other. Man, this is a good show. Anybody else have anything else they want to say about it before we start voting it off the island?
I think that I did a really good job as a smart person, as resident smart person, of trying to find all of the blips and the bloops as far as like time travel goes,
Yeah.
trying to like find that loud gushing crack.
For
and I
sure.
could not. I think that they handled their shit well.
Yeah. All right. Well, we have moved into the voting round. Mike, I'm going to start with you. Which do you think should move on?
I think this is the hardest battle so far, and it will not get easier from here on. Today, my answer could be different tomorrow. Today, my answer is Russian Doll.
All right. Russian Doll, Cassie?
I'm gonna go with Rami.
All right. McKenna?
This is the hardest for me as well, but it's Russian Doll.
Ooh, Taylor?
I refuse to vote.
Taylor abstains from voting.
Jeffrey Epstein
Voting
over there.
present here.
No, don't
Yeah,
do
go
that.
fuck a kid instead of voting like a real adult.
No, guys, come
Guys,
on.
let's not get
No,
political.
let's
not get political, guys. Come on. Let's keep it clean. Ryan?
I was hoping you would not call on me.
If you say Russian Doll right now, if you don't, we got a tie, and then I'm gonna come in and I'm gonna Mike Pence this bitch. But if you say Russian Doll right now, it's over, and my heart is broken into 1,000 pieces. Ryan, my best friend, my buddy, my Steve.
Just because you don't get to vote?
I won't. No, because I'm
you
gonna
have to
be
vote?
super sad if Rami doesn't move on.
I do think that Rami did a really good job.
Oh, no.
Do you already know?
Ooh,
Greg,
Phrasing.
buddy, I'm so sorry.
Of reinvigorating the comedian slice of life genre, but Russian Doll's high concept was so perfectly handled, and Natasha Leggero was not in the show, which is my favorite thing. So it's Russian Doll.
Oh, Rami a river. Rami washes out. Oh, man. I'm very surprised, and my heart is a little bit broken. This would have been a big upset, though. This would have been 10 beating 2. I thought it was going to happen, but we like chalk around these parts,
Well,
kiddos.
the 13th seat I think you should leave is going to take the whole fucking thing.
Yeah, that's
so it
true.
doesn't matter.
That's very true. Spoilers, Ryan.
Sorry.
All right.
But I've already recorded the rest of the show,
Yeah.
and it wins.
When we come back, we're going to get to the last matchup of this first round of this podcast of comedies of 2019. All right, last matchup, everybody. It's number 3, Barry, versus number 6 seed, Pen 15, which is confusing because it's got a number in it, but keep the faith, guys. That classic question. What is harder, being a hitman with PTSD from your time in a war on the run from your past, including your recently killing the cop who was investigating you and also happened to be dating your mentor at the theater where you were struggling to pursue your dreams of acting, or being a middle school girl? Cassie, which is harder?
Middle school girl.
Yeah, right?
Hell yeah.
I think the show makes a pretty convincing case that there is nothing quite like the nightmare of being a girl in middle school.
Guys, it's so hard. It's
terrible.
The worst thing. Which is like, which what's great about the show is because like you get it a lot from the like male perspective. You get to see like guys going through these awkward stages, and then to see like 2 girls, you're just like, oh man, you're immediately thrown back there, and you're like, I don't know.
But like when we get
The unfathomable pain of being known.
when we get it from the male perspective, we get it written by much older males who are writing their dream perspective of what it should have been. This is girls who are like, this is literally what it fucking was, guys. I'm not
like
It hurts. This was a comedy that was painful.
This is
Yeah.
fucking hard to watch.
Yeah.
This is harder to watch than like movies with torture in them.
my wife. I just watched her like cringe
Bye-bye.
and like sort of yes, good guys, Borat. I hope for Austin Powers soon.
Shagadelic.
She like
Shagadelic,
would cover
High
her
five.
balls so she didn't get kicked in the balls more by this show. I loved it because they both acted like me and Mike do now. So I thought it was great. But
We never have to grow up. Now we're seen on TV finally.
The adult women playing the middle school girls, I think, makes it even worse because they're so good at really articulating the awkward pain.
But between this show and Florence Pugh and Little Women, adults should play children
Yeah.
more.
And
you guys
we
get
should
tickets
all
to-
owe to Amy Sedaris.
Yes, definitely.
I do. Do you guys feel bad? Do you guys think the thing that I think, which is Anna Konkle? They're both great, but Maya Erskine is like 2 or 4 levels above everyone else on TV.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
She's
very good.
destroys.
And she was also on Rami.
Really?
Yeah, was she in the first episode?
It's been a while.
Anna
been a
was. Anna was in Rami.
Oh, the other one.
Yeah. Maya was
Maya
in
Erskine was in +1.
She was
the
in
hit
she
Hulu
was,
movie.
She was in Wine Country, that movie that Tina made.
This is like a
IMDb's
who's
great.
who of shows I have heard of.
Yeah.
For the women in the room, I have to ask, what episode or cringe-inducing moment did you most relate to there? Was it stealing somebody's panties and drenching them in water and pouring them all over your face?
That was the difference between like my experience and theirs is they were way more confident, like when they shouldn't be, like they still had confidence that like I never like possessed. So like they got in more situations, but it's still like you still have the awkward like cringe-worthy moments of you just trying, like you're just trying to become a person.
But like my trying to become a person was still staying silent in the corner.
Yeah.
And they initiated, which just always backfired, and it just made me grateful that I stayed in the corner.
Yeah.
Because it was going to backfire.
You saw like how much worse it could be. And
It
you're
could
like,
have, yeah.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
Plus, Cassie grew up in Riverside, so her awkward moments were like her friend could throw a brick farther than her.
Walking on your friend cooking.
The moment from Pin 15 that hit me the hardest was
Thank you, Taylor. Finally.
the AIM episode, because even though I wasn't a girl, I do distinctly remember catfishing people in Final Fantasy 11 with my friends on the
Oh my
PlayStation
God.
2.
Oh yeah.
And then
God.
and then the person being like, what are you wearing? And we're like, oh shit, what do we do? Oh no.
Nothing.
Yeah, and it was like
Back out as hard as
nothing. F-18 California.
In that movie +1 with Maya Erskine and Randy Quaid's son, like the romantic comedy, Anna Konkle's in one scene and goes up to Maya Erskine and they're like enemies. And that was the most heartbreaking moment of my year. Like, you guys are supposed to be best friends. This is awful for me.
You always have to be together forever. Does anybody like hold it against Pen 15 that it is like so awkward and terrible to watch it, or is
No.
that like a vote in
No.
favor of it?
I mean, like they're making me go through all the emotions they intended, right?
Yeah.
So even though they're awful for me,
Yeah.
it was their point.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's saying, God damn it, we lived through this. Can't you handle it for a little bit? In the way, like, the best episodes of The Office did that for adults, but because childhood's so much more raw and dumb, and as Cassie said, we're trying to figure out, it hurts so much more than the dinner party episode of The Office to watch them not know how to navigate any sort of life.
Also,
And well, if for a second they let up on that, it would suddenly become inauthentic. If for a second they
Yeah.
let them
Right.
have control over their lives, now it's no longer true to what it's trying to present.
yeah.
and it's not just the painful moments for them. what was most painful for me is like there's an episode where the two of them get into one big T-shirt and walk around and think it's the single most brilliant level of comedy, not realizing that in a couple years it's how embarrassing that is, and I just like flashed through every stupid thing I'd ever done.
Oh man! And there's generally pictures.
Yeah,
there's generally pictures.
Always pictures.
Some of them moving. Okay, well Barry also deals with social awkwardness, but it's interspersed with a lot of gunplay and the guy that plays Victor Zaz.
Yes.
Yeah. Hey, it's me, Noho Hank.
I really, really liked season 2 of Barry. Did anybody feel like it fell off after the first season?
No.
Got better, maybe?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it got tighter.
So many people who were kind of caricatures in season 1, you got to see them more human. Barry's girlfriend is a much more fully fleshed out human being than in season 1. She's just a Hollywood shithead.
So many people talk about we talked about it in Century of the
Karate
Year.
Girl?
Karate Girl.
Yes.
And it's memorable. Pen 15 didn't have no Karate Girl.
No.
But I think the moment, like Mike's talking about, is Sally, the girlfriend's name. She's trying to do this monologue at the end and just comes to terms with all of the shit she's been going through for the past 2 years and how she didn't get, like, Emmys thrown at her. How, like, this is a really hard character to play. And that like, sort of outdid Karate Girl.
Yeah.
And that is an extremely good moment where like she's wrestling with the fact that she is not the strong person that she's presented herself as, and but like wanting to be very authentic, and then caving to that, and then having all of the accolades and love thrown at her.
Yeah.
Oh boy,
the first season, which I fought to win the whole bracket, I think the Good Place beat Barry, was great, but watching the second season, I realized that the first season paid too much attention. It's just not that type of show, to the mystery and the suspense and like, is Barry going to get caught? He's not. We know he's not. It's called fucking Barry. But this season, they like sort of relaxed with that, and it's so much better for it.
Yeah, in the finale of the show, she's like, all right, well, I guess I'm going to turn myself in now.
Bill Hader.
Hey, everybody. Real sorry about shooting everybody. Gosh, I feel just terrible. Barry will forever be, for me, the show where I will, with my wife, watch Bill Hader like murder 7 people and then have her go, oh, God, that's so hot. And then we'll just look at each other like, yeah, we don't know what to do with that. So we're just going to mosey on down the road from that experience.
And she's picking him over. She's picking him over Stephen Root. Stephen Root is right there.
Yeah. You know, I root for Root.
Yeah, you
do. She loves Hader.
Barry's so fucking good, you guys. So
good.
And it's fun. I mean, it's a show that is like about the consequences of killing people, and then yet at the same time seems to make it fun when people get killed. You walk away from some episodes being like, where do I land on this?
The funniest thing that this show, I think, could possibly do is have that woman who is like a British woman just be like, everyone else is giving their trauma, and she is like, one time I saw a horse. And like no one else, she's like, no, you guys don't understand. I lived in London. You don't see a lot of horses. And then like when they do the full presentation and it just cuts back to the theater and she's yelling at the audience trying to explain why it's a big deal.
But you don't see many horses.
That is such a funny fucking idea.
All right, well, it is time to call for a vote. So what's it going to be, everybody? Barry or Pen 15? Which we didn't touch on this, but if you look at that kind of looks like it says penis.
What?
So Taylor,
it says
what
Barry.
do you like, Barry or the penis?
Okay, well, listen.
You're not Barry and the penis.
I love both of those things, but I am going to choose Barry.
All right, McKenna, aka Books.
It's Barry.
Mike.
Pen 15.
Oh, caliente. Cassie.
Was that Barry or the penis?
That's the penis for sure. It's
Shut up,
spicy
penis.
penis.
Yeah.
For me, not the penis. I'm going to go with Barry.
Barry, all right. Ryan, there's nothing you can do.
Yeah, but it's
Can't
Barry.
Stop fate now. All right, congratulations, Barry. Moving on. When we come back, we're into the next round. Things are going to get serious. Things are going to get painful. And it's all going to be recorded for you. All right, we are into the next round, and guys, it only gets tougher from here. We have number 1 overall seed Fleabag versus number 13 overall seed I Think You Should Leave. What are we going to do? This would be a major upset.
Our Final Four has the first seed, second seed, third seed, and 13th seed. I think you should leave.
Something is right up our butts. Guess which one it is.
But Fleabag, again, the biggest comedy show of 2019, especially if you were on Twitter
Yes.
and love looking at tweets.
But also, if you're on Twitter and love looking at tweets, I
Yeah.
think you should leave possibly second or first biggest show of
Like
the year.
in the show, in Fleabag, Fleabag and the hot priest drink canned gin and tonics. But when they open them, at no point were they like, "Oh, this is stinky. Is this gin and tonic stinky?" So
It doesn't stink, hot priest. You're just choking on the nachos that I was forced to share with you.
I hope somebody didn't hit my car.
So Ryan, you were bringing up. I think you should leave. Something I wanted to talk about was the batting average was sort of talked about a couple times. I would say on I think you should leave batting average is like as high as any other sketch comedy show ever, maybe.
that's possible.
I would say
and
like
yeah,
900.
I would still say below 500.
What?
Below 500.
Fuck off.
So you think more than half the skits on this, like what, are not funny, or you wish they didn't exist, or you think they should leave?
Or you're a dumb fig-ad idiot.
What do you call me?
How about motorcycle guy?
Not good. That's a bad one.
Oh, no,
That's a straight up bad
Hey,
skit.
Motorcycle. And then he goes up and he's like, "Hey guys, yeah, they got motorcycles."
And then it ends in space. Yeah.
Yeah, dude.
Two motorcycles with a house
With a house in between.
And would they go buck wild over the baby stroller?
Yeah.
Come on.
Let me give you 2 examples, okay? But I think there are many more.
Okay, tread softly in my courtroom.
Okay. Skits that have lots of laughs but ultimately don't work as a whole.
Okay.
Okay? The first one is, hey, can you lie to everybody at this party about why we're late? And he ends up shoving a guy through a
No, that's great.
No, you're crazy.
Great. No, they're just like not.
they're just
There's like not even people. Like they're not even supposed to be in the area.
But
Fine, don't worry.
it's too...
Fine.
This is not getting the reaction I thought of a bad skit.
Hey,
and it's not bad.
if you keep talking about the hit and run, I'm gonna have to embarrass you.
Put his hand in the dip, everybody.
I really like that guy, too. That was like a handsome guy I would like at a party.
Yeah.
The guy he goes against. But he just puts his hand in a dip. But it doesn't. It's Tim Robinson's character forward and not enough thought put into it. And the other one is the honk if you're horny skit.
Get out of here! Get out of
work.
here! Get out of here! That's the one that has the Friday night song, which you have to sing
It's
every
Friday night. I'm thinking that we just might run away somewhere no one knows who we are.
Sugarfoot. Yeah, no.
And when the guy shows up, he's like, I don't know. I thought that you were a guy who had like support for guys that are so horny that their stomach hurts.
And then he does, right? He does.
And he
have
does.
Ryan, did you forget that you're in a room with a bunch of fucking Tim Robinsons?
I think I should leave.
I would say there is only one skit which is not totally hilarious. And it's that one where the very first one where he tries to open up the door at the coffee shop. That's funny.
That's a bummer skit.
But that's not
That
hilarious.
I think it's great that they open the show with
Yeah.
the weakest
Great
one.
opener.
because it's an introduction. It's like, this is what you're going to see from here on out. But from that point,
If this makes you uncomfortable,
Yeah.
turn this TV off.
but from that point forward, like, because the next one is Turbo Team.
Yes.
with the tiny toilet.
It's
like
Turbo
from that
Time.
point forward, there is nothing that is not.
I've got another one that has jokes and it's funny, but does
All
not
right,
work
bro.
on
All right,
as
bro.
a whole.
All right, bro.
The one where the game show with the mascot.
Come on.
Fuck off.
It's not. It just doesn't
off.
work. It
Someone
doesn't work.
think- What's your thing?
What's your thing? You can't break the guy's laptop.
You had all summer.
All right, dump it.
Oh, shit. We have never once talked about this show on air without just
Yeah.
devolving into
There's been no conversation.
Yeah, the Chris Farley show.
Is that a mark against it because analyzing sketch is hard, so let's just scream quotes at each other? Does that say, like, what's the meat then?
Did you go to high school or college with me? Like, that's what my entire life was.
The meat there is that it's very funny to have a game show where people haven't thought it through, and that's why I watched The Masked Singer.
And let me counter that with pointing out this one thing, which is there's an episode that starts with an accident with a hot dog car. And then a bunch of people are standing around, and who's the driver? And one of the guys is dressed like a fucking hot dog.
This is a good counterpoint, Mike. That was a good counterpoint.
Don't forget.
Well, that is the meat there, is the hot dog man.
But then it goes on to where he just names a bunch of porn sites and really wants to get spanked on his bare bottom.
Spanked on my bare bottom?
That episode. So, like, I do think it's below 500, but that episode's the single greatest because that episode has Stinky Water choking.
Yep.
Santa and Rudolph, and then Bones Are Their Money back to back
Oh,
in that
shit.
episode.
That's
a murderer's row.
Okay, we do have to decide what is the the funniest skit? Is it Santa and his?
100%. Yes.
Okay.
It's either Santa or Bones of Their Money or the car focus group.
Yeah.
It's very strong. It's so good.
Yeah, I think for me personally, it's Bones.
The car focus group kind of freaked me out because I don't know that actor.
Yeah,
but
neither.
the skit really felt more like I'm making fun of this crazy old person.
Yeah.
More than like I wrote a good skit.
No.
Oh, come on.
No, it very quickly turns from it quickly turns from making fun of this old person to everyone in the room is on the old person side, and we're making fun of this
Just
normal
go off,
dude.
man.
That's where a lot of these skits are like. Most skits rely on like the odd man out, but like half of these, the odd man out. It starts with the odd man out, and then everybody turns
following.
on it, and it's
Yeah.
like no. The odd man out
No.
is a reasonable one.
Because he landed the bottle flip and you flinched. You have to marry your mother-in-law. And everyone in the room is on board with that.
Okay.
Oh wait, I have one more bad one. Okay, this one's super true to life. I've been here, but the one where the guy wants to be on board with everybody pulling up videos and then makes his own clown, like crazy clown video.
You know what?
That one doesn't work that
That's
well.
a bad skit.
That's a bad skit.
Yeah.
I'll give you that
That's
one.
why it's 900 and not 1,000.
What the fuck is this?
Okay, but all that stuff we just said, as a piece of art, is it superior to Fleabag?
It's okay. This is where I get into. I think Fleabag might be like it's shooting for higher, but I enjoyed one of these more. And how much does that come into a play?
A lot. I mean, we all have our own criteria, right? And we decide based on that.
But do you enjoy one of them more because it's technically more enjoyable to watch, and the other one makes you like more uncomfortable with the like things it's making you think of? Because that doesn't get it more points.
I mean, going by your logic, Taylor, if I saw one video of one person hitting a plate of nachos out of another person's hands, that's the number one form of art of all time. Because that's the most enjoyable thing I've ever seen.
Football to the groin had a football.
Here's what I'll say. A thing that we very frequently on this show talk about when we're deciding a thing is what did we think about the most after we watched it?
Yeah.
And even though I think about them in slightly different ways, I do think about the things that I think You Should Leave does and the very clever way it does them more than I think about what Fleabag's doing.
But now let's analyze what think about means, because I think about Party Hardison's like eye twitch when sometimes she gets upset. Probably more than I think about Fleabag. But when I'm thinking about Fleabag, I'm thinking about like the human condition and what anxiety means and what it means to be depressed and get over depression. And what is it like? What did it mean for these 2 seasons where she was looking at the camera and what she summed up at the end and what it's like to only be in love with people that you can't have? Those two different things of thinking about are different.
When I think about I Think You Should Leave, I think about what it means to exist in a society in and among other people. And I think
I'm going to put your hand in the dip.
And how people like you run into every day
Yes.
people just as crazy as the craziest parts of these skits.
Yes.
Every day.
Yes, every single day. And anytime I encounter one of those people on the street now, which is a lot, I think about
live in
this.
LA.
I live in LA. I think about this show. Like I watched a dude just yesterday just walk down the street, look at a can that was resting on a thing, and just go, nah, and knock it out of the and knock it off the thing onto the ground.
That wins. That wins.
And that is an I Think You Should Leave thing that I think about.
And at this point in 2020, LA is mostly hot dog cars, right?
It's
like,
all
what you
hot
deal
dog
with?
cars.
Does anybody else feel like this is as absolutely as hard as it gets? Like this is
No.
No.
Not at all.
No. Yeah, I don't. I think maybe.
Okay, well then I think I know which way this is going. Let's call for a vote. Taylor, what's it going to be?
I think you should leave.
All right, I think I will. McKenna?
It's Fleabag.
Mike?
I do think that both of these protagonists, Phoebe Waller-Bridges and the Tim Robinson, are dealing, like, the world is crazy. They just deal with the crazy world in very different ways. One is by getting louder and crazier, because fuck you, I'll outdo you. And the other just, like, looks at nothing and, like, pretends there's an audience, which I relate to a lot, which is also pretty crazy. But it's Fleabag.
All right, Cassie?
I'm starting to panic now, so I gotta say, like, I think you should leave because, like, when I'm gonna put a comedy, when somebody asks, like, I want a comedy reference, I'm not gonna say, like, Fleabag is a great show.
No, that's your comedy reference.
Yeah.
Fleabag is a great show.
Right show. But no, like, for comedy, I'm going, I think you should leave.
Yes.
All right, so
Tied up.
Ryan, I
Tied
do
up.
believe it all comes down to
Ryan,
you, my friend.
Ryan, baby, don't let me down. Don't let me down.
Ryan.
It's 100 million billion % Fleabag.
Yeah.
Yes.
Fuck!
Yeah.
I
I've
think you
almost
could
voted
read-
for the other two over the other one.
You could. I think you can read the tea leaves there. But that was very close, and I think it is only right that it was so close. When we come back, we're getting to our next matchup. the second and last matchup of this round is the number 2 seed Russian Doll versus the number 3 seed Barry. So these are the very top of the seeding. But what is going to move on, Ryan? You don't have to vote right now, but what do you think?
This is High Concept versus second season of High Concept, where they lowered the concept a little bit.
Let's get turned down the concept.
I don't know which one that helps more. Also,
I think I disagree that they lowered the concept. I think they just changed what the concept is. I think that they shifted further away from is he going to get caught and more towards is he a good person?
Yeah, okay, that's fine.
And I feel like it is being more reflective and conceptual in
and that
this
makes
season.
sense too, right?
But
because
I still think that's low concept. Better Things and Rami, those are also about are they a good person? I think that the whole assassin on the run, that's the high concept part of it.
Right. Yeah.
And it's not like they have put to bed forever the will he get caught is the other thing, because at the end of this season, it's like they're strong. You see them getting on his trail again, but it was something they earned for the second season was getting him a little downtime because he killed the person that knew he was a bad guy.
And this will for sure be a show that they cancel, the people behind it cancel before HBO, and we will be bummed.
Yeah.
Whereas Russian Doll got picked up for a second season, and I was kind of bummed about that.
Yeah.
I don't want a second season.
That's become the new thing, right? Like shows you really like. Remember when you heard that Watchmen wasn't getting a second season, and you were like,
I was like, thank God.
Yeah, cool.
Yes.
Thank fucking God. I didn't want to watch a single bad episode of Watchmen.
Of just Regina King trying to swim. I got to get out of this pool.
Oh no! I can kind of stand on the water, but I'm just sinking slower.
It's like Jell-O to me.
But we have, and all critics have, this affinity for new. And Russian Doll's first season, I think, does put it at an advantage, Barry had a chance to fight last year. Now is it Russian Doll's time?
But, okay, let's go to Taylor's thing that he talked about in the last round, which was, what lasted with you? Because I really enjoyed Russian Doll the whole time I was watching it, and then I was done watching it, and I was like, all right, done with that.
Except
Barry,
for Sweet Birthday Baby.
Except for Sweet Birthday Baby.
Sweet birthday,
Which
baby.
it's my wife's birthday in just a couple of days, so of course I'm going to be saying that until she cries. But
Of happiness or sadness?
of just like, please stop, God. But Barry stuck with me week in, week out, and right now I'm so excited about the prospect of more Barry. And like you said, not at all excited, or very limitedly excited about the prospect of Russian Doll season 2.
But isn't that because Russian Doll was so projecting how excited we are for the next season? I don't think is a good litmus on the last season because we've all decided Russian Doll season 1 was so perfect it doesn't need.
Yeah, but it's more than just that. It's also the fact that it didn't have much of a lasting impact on me. For me, I'm not excited to revisit that.
I don't want to live more in that world. But I got what I needed out of it.
The only thing I care about is who's making the decision. Fleabag's first season was 3 years ago.
Yeah.
And then she was like, I'm done. Oh, no, wait, I have a new idea. And then she made a new one. Whereas with Russian Doll, it feels like that was successful. Netflix is going to drive a dump truck of money and then just come up with something. Right. That's going to be worse than if...
Netflix is not a trustworthy company.
That's true.
They made October Faction, guys.
Unless the people
Faction.
that I applied to a job there for are listening to this, in which case, Netflix, a great company.
You're definitely trustworthy.
Are you going to be a watcher?
No.
You know what? As much as I love TV, if they hired me to watch all Netflix stuff, I would quit. There's no way
you're not
going
to do it.
It's so
not
awful.
Gonna do it.
Which black-clad misanthrope do you think more wrestles with who they are and how they are in the world between Natasha Leggero and Barry?
I think both of the actors do a very good job, but I think nothing in Russian Doll hit me as hard as the moment where Barry is retelling the story of the first time he killed a person and watching the juxtaposition of the actors thinking that this is a very dark and somber moment. Yeah. And then all of the people celebrating and it being a very happy moment in his memory.
And that being even way darker than...
Yes. That
Also, it's a little unfair because we look yonder to the Hall of Fame that we have. Natasha Lyonne is not in the Pop Filter Hall of Fame, and fucking Bill Hader's right there.
That's true.
I also think my first instinct to Mike's question was to say that I think that the Russian Doll character is closer to Natasha Lyonne than Barry is to Bill Hader.
You don't think Bill Hader's killed a bunch of people?
Dude, I think there is a truth to... I don't know. There's a coldness inside him that I think he taps for this character. Though.
And if Bill Hader did kill a bunch of people, the cops would be like, shut it, get out of here, bud. You're so handsome.
We love it. We love it. How much for you, McKenna, does it come into Curly Pride? We don't have a lot of Curly representatives.
So
left.
satisfying to be represented,
and she's holding it down for the Curlies.
And it's so consistent.
Yeah.
do you think I'm swaying opposite of the group? Russian Doll to me stayed with me, and
yeah?
I could not stop thinking about it and could not stop.
What element of it? Like what do you think had that stickiness?
The curly hair. You already
the
said
curly
it.
hair, exactly. Just
It gets on everything.
I think there's so many shows that try to grapple with you can't fully accept what you're upset about, and it misses a mark. But this show felt it balanced it so well that unacceptance of like I'm grieving about this and I feel guilty about this. It worked and it felt so real. And then still, I think earlier you had talked about the twists that Russian Doll keeps going up, and I think they were so necessary to keep the humor because her first death is shocking.
Yeah.
But the later deaths become so funny. Like they're just hilarious.
Just
and that's
falling down
why
holes.
We have to get that twist.
One time she just leaves her apartment and falls down the stairs. It's like a 2-second existence.
It was so good. So like that twist of having the people disappear, now that's the somber part, and we can laugh at the deaths. And I think that was also just so cleverly done. Like,
Typically though, the twist is that it's sort of like Christmas Carol, which Groundhog Day and Scrooge, let's compare those two movies. It's just you're a bad person, and then you realize how to be a good person.
You're a bad person, Charlie Brown.
That's how, once you realize how to be a good person, then the day will, or tomorrow will come. But with this, she was just like a 2019 normal lady, in New York. And those are very different realizations. You know, it's not like, oh, I need to give to the poor. I need to throw geese at the poor for Christmas. But it's just like, oh, I have to come to terms with my self-esteem and the people that I, have relationships with. And that twist makes it so much more timely and interesting.
Yeah, that it's just her lack of like connection to other people around her that is doing
and
her
not to go from like Dr. Doom to like a hero.
And I have to say, I guess I personally am confronting the fact that now that I have encompassed Russian Doll by watching it all, in some way I am less blown away by the cleverness of all of it because I'm like, well, now I know what happens. But that was an extremely clever way to tell a story and to keep doing those twists and to keep injecting life into it.
Yeah, if you can go back to not where you are now, where you know everything, but in the middle of it, finding out what happens, that's a crazy moment.
I have a question. Did everyone else watch it sort of all in one chunk?
I think I did like 2 chunks.
It was 3, yeah.
Okay, so
I did like one a night for like 2 weeks.
I spent like 2 months on it, and I had to force myself to keep watching it.
Oh, bud.
And I think maybe I just left too much time in between, and it wasn't hooking me in. I think that might be why I have less of a positive view of it.
Do
than
you
other
hate
people.
Groundhog Day episodes?
Legends of Tomorrow.
I think I am generally ambivalent, and especially good ones are good. Like I didn't mind the Groundhog Day aspect of it.
It had that for me that it had to work up against because of my time on the Superhero Hour. Legends is a good one, but every one of the shows we watch does a Groundhog Day episode.
They all have to do one.
So now when I see one like developing, I'm like, I hate you. And so you have to be really good, which this was, but they'd had to overcome that for me. So I think if it had taken me months, it would have been because I couldn't get over the Groundhog Day-ness.
But it's also, if you do it over months, and I generally don't like binging, but then you forget all the clever little tricks, what they're twisting, what they're changing, what
Who's
they're repeating.
missing.
So this guy wearing the brown jacket that walks past you for 1 second, like sort of knocks his can over. And if you binge, that's important every episode. But if you don't, you sort of forget the importance of that. You know?
Right. Yeah. Which
sounds like you blew it.
Yeah.
Fucked up, idiot.
Sounds like you really blew it.
Did I blew it, or should the show have just been more engaging on first watch?
Oh.
No, I don't think it's detail.
I think it was
is
for
what
everyone
makes it
else.
important.
Yeah.
Well,
I just watched it bad.
It's time to vote, people. We can't just keep putting it off. Ryan, what's it going to be?
Fuck.
Went right to you first.
Shit. I'm gonna go with Barry.
Wow, there it is. He didn't even know. He just his mouth did it. It was weird. It was like watching one of those movies where the guy's body fights without his like aid. That was so
an upgrade, or
an upgrade, if you will,
or a Venom,
or a tuxedo.
Yeah,
some Tom Hardy or Tom Hardy look-alike movie.
Yes.
Cassie, what's it gonna be?
For me, it's Barry.
All right, Mike.
Russian
All
Doll.
right, 2-1.
Russian Doll.
2-2.
Shit.
Oh, Team Money, it's all up to you, bud. What's it gonna be?
It's Barry for me.
Barry!
I'm sorry, Russian Doll. You didn't pull me in.
I have to say, I think Russian Doll didn't get a totally fair shake here, but I'm glad to see Barry is moving on.
Russian Doll is a show that I wish that I liked more than I did.
Which means that our last matchup is going to be Fleabag versus Barry. Guys, we can't get right into it. We have to take a short break.
I want to get into it.
We have to take a short break,
on.
Ryan. What did I just say about the break?
I don't want to get into it.
It'll be short. We are back, and this place looks like an absolute abattoir. The blood of so many cut shows just sloshing around up to our ankles, and only 2 remain for gladiatorial combat. And it is the number 1 seed, Fleabag, versus the number 3 seed, Barry. All in all, this ended up being pretty chalk. 1 and 3. That's pretty high up there.
It's not chalk. It's the definition of not chalk. Like 1 and 2 would be chalk.
Well,
3 came up there, shot
why he
from the
said
bottom,
pretty
and rose all the way to the top.
So this feels like it's going to be pretty tough to pick the best comedy of 2019. Does anybody's gut immediately go one way or the other?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that this was a year where this show that we just recorded was all about getting to talk about all these TV shows that we loved. Mm-hmm. But really, there was one Forrest Gump who was going to take the ball and run straight to the end zone with almost no fight.
And you're talking about 2019's comedy Forrest Gump.
Forrest Gump,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
I do think that it was the best TV show I watched.
We're talking about the 2013 Frank Ocean song Forrest Gump.
This year I watched Forrest Gump in 19 10-minute Quibi episodes just to get myself ready for Quibi, and I loved it. It was so good.
So I'm guessing you feel like Fleabag is just head and shoulders.
I mean, I think it's so weird to be that that much at the top of the canon, and then also so good. That like, what are we gonna do here? Do we want to be iconoclast? Is that the goal?
Is that the only reason anybody would vote for Barry? Does anyone take issue with that? That it would just be iconoclastic?
No, I mean, because it's not like it's a shitty show. We're not trying to be like Big Bang Theory. That would be iconoclastic.
Big bag theory. Man, that lady's got a big bag.
But I think Barry.
We have fun.
Barry is a very good show.
Very good show.
It's a very, very good show. Cristobal, what are you doing? You break my heart.
But this does, to me, feel like almost like a slam dunk. Barry was so good this season. I loved it. But it just feels like this is a behemoth Fleabag. It took over the cultural landscape.
It also feels like Barry is just kind of always going to be always the bridesmaid. It's always going to like.
We had the chance last year.
Always attempted murder, never murder.
Does it help Fleabag, though, that it is a complete closure? Barry,
Yes.
we are
totally.
that's a huge
Yeah.
thing that we have closed the door on Fleabag.
Yeah.
And we have loved the ending.
She told us to go away, and we had to. We had no choice.
We broke up with her, and we're okay with it.
But I think that's so hard, and having a fourth wall breaking show, like, that's not new. But to do what she did in the first season, it was all about getting used to that and what we don't see. And then the second season, it's to really fuck with the unreliable narrator and have the hot priest start to notice what she's doing. Like, it's like, oh no, she's emotionally detaching.
Yeah.
Like, and then when God starts fucking with them and they try to hook up, it's like, I don't know if I can believe anything that's happening, or if this is what he feels like is happening. Maybe nothing fell down, but it's from her point of view, so she's just staring at him like he's crazy, because we all have our ways of detaching, dealing with reality and not reality.
Should priests just be able to smash?
Oh, yeah, so they won't smash kids.
Mike, let me ask you a question. You asked McKenna and Cassie if Pen 15 resonated with them. As far as Phoebe goes, not in the second season of Fleabag, but in all the award shows since then, she's been wearing her hair up and sort of uncovering that giant mole on her forehead. Do you feel represented with her? Like, is she now your go-to queen?
Yes, I can finally stop wearing my hair emo style to cover my left cheek and feel fine revealing it, because now she's the most recent pop culture touchstone. People are like, oh, you're going to wear that jumpsuit, instead of going moly, 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 which they've done since goddamn Austin Powers 3, not even a good movie, you fucks.
A lot of passion and a lot of heart there. You know, I have to say, McKenna, something you said about how if it's ending, does that really that resonates with me so much. It is so painful that the show is ending, but that pain, I feel like, binds me to it.
But is
a
it
little bit? I know I'm going to get to see Barry season 3 probably in a couple months.
Is it a Return of the King, even though this was the worst movie, we have to award it sort of feeling? Or is it like they stuck the landing so wonderfully kind of thing?
For me, I think season 2 was very, very good. And it was all about Catholicism. Bro, I'm a recovering Catholic, man. I know what that's all about.
I thought after season 1, like, it had ended well. But the fact that I think the impulse with a lot of shows is to deal with the same issues in a different way in the season, like the second and later seasons. They dealt with the same issues in a natural way. So the first season's all about her grief, and the second season feels very much about her guilt over not being as in grief. And that's natural human development, and it works. And so I don't think that it's like any criticism that it's ending. I think it has to end.
Like when Sandra Bullock was on the bus and the old lady exploded, but she thought she exploded, and then she was happy that the old lady exploded.
Yeah,
because she's still alive. That's hard to deal with.
I will have to say one knock against Fleabag is that as a British show, it doesn't address what it would be like to see a horse.
Yeah.
That doesn't.
No.
I mean, it is. A lot of it's right in London. Where you wouldn't expect to see a horse.
You wouldn't expect to see a horse there.
And as a British show, it's the only show from this week and next week's drama bracket where we actually we get to say, like, oh, I wish I had more of that. Instead of like, oh my God, when will this show end?
Now, only one of these shows has TV's Arthur Fonzarelli. Barry, of course, famously
true.
with the Winkler.
That's a future Pop Filter Hall of Famer, right?
That's
Absolutely.
a good one.
Yeah.
It's crazy that he's not there already.
Yeah, Arrested Development.
Scream.
Yeah, he was when he jumped over the sharks.
Parks and Recreation.
Yep. Oh yeah, dude. Man, Parks and Rec. All right, I think what we're doing is trying to
for Parks and Rec.
avoid our terrible responsibility, which is to elect one of these above the other. Taylor, what do you think it should be, Fleabag or Barry?
And just before I make my vote, I'm not allowed to say Fleaberry. That's not allowed to. That's not a thing I can do.
You can do whatever you want.
That is the worst tasting fruit of all time.
Fleaberry.
It tastes just like it tastes just like a dick sock.
Fleaberry. It sucks.
Fleabag.
Guys, fruit doesn't need taglines.
No, dude, listen.
Wait, no. Let's go around the horn. Every fruit needs
if
a tagline.
you are trying to come out with a hot new fruit and it's called Fleaberry, you're gonna need a tagline.
Yeah.
You're clearly gonna need one.
Like durian. Sometimes trash is good.
All right, so what was your vote for again, Taylor?
My vote was for Fleabag.
That's one for Fleabag. McKenna?
It's Fleabag.
Fleabag. Mike? Fleabag. Cassie? Fleabag. Ryan?
As the number one proponent on the planet of Barry, it is Fleabag.
Yeah, I'm so glad. This was like, maybe this is the obvious answer, but it is art beyond what many of these shows was able to pull off.
Also, the motherfucking journey's not done. This is the one side of the bracket. Next week, we're going to do the drama side, and then whoever wins is going to face off against Fleabag for the number one TV show of the year.
Do you guys think that if in the next couple of years, Phoebe Waller-Bridge, like, she sees like a rabbi with a little bit of ankle, and she gets an idea, okay, I'm going to do season 3, are we going to feel like we're a little upset?
But Hot Priest was done, so this is like Hungry Rabbi?
Yeah,
what kind of rabbi?
This is Ravishing Rabbi.
The only way it works is if she's the robot from Solo with that hungry rabbi.
I just hope it's a rabbi magician, and she's like, crazy rabbi, tricks are for kids.
Oh, and let that be the last word in our 2019 Best Comedy. Congratulations, Fleabag. We know it's a long way from London, but please get on your horse and come get your award. Well, that is all the podcasts we have. But, Ryan, let's tell the fans at home about a website.
Please always be going to yourpopfilter.com, the only website that has every single one of our podcasts and articles that we write, except for Patreon, which has actually most of the articles and all the podcasts.
Also, join our Patreon. Why not? Yeah. Come on. Get on it.
Why not?
I've heard reference to podcasts. Mike, what are some podcasts you could find from our network?
Well, thank you. From our network, you can specifically find the Superhero Hour, where Taylor takes Ryan and I through every single live-action comic-based TV show. It's a grueling thing to do, but a great thing to listen to.
Mike, did you just? Sorry, go ahead.
What?
You just walked into a cement truck, but we're trying to follow you.
Well, the OCD. No, I shouldn't double down. The OCD. We're gonna go episode by episode through the OC.
All right. Unnatural 20s. Do you know about a podcast about maybe Unnatural 20s?
I know about a podcast for dumb people, and that is Unnatural 20s.
Nice.
Woo!
Two dumb people and books gather weekly to talk about things, whatever we want. We leave it all up to a dice.
Which one?
Which dice?
Yeah.
A D20.
Is that frustrating for you, McKenna, to be on a show with two dumb people?
No, it helps my superior complex.
Oh, okay, good. You need that.
I need that.
Always smart for a smart person to just hang out with a couple dullards.
We all think we do it.
Yeah, we're all looking at each other like, yep, I do the same thing, man. All right, I feel like that's everything we got to plug, right, Ryan? We got Twitter. Follow us on Twitter at YourPopFilter. Follow us on Instagram at YourPopFilter. Patreon at YourPopFilter.
If you think that Big Bang Theory should have won, email us, contact at YourPopFilter.
Yeah, for sure. Do it. Let us know.
If you think Young Sheldon is the best show on TV, hit me up.
Then your name is Taylor. That's the only.
Specifically write to me, T-Money Bagels, because I want to chat with
Text
you.
me at 1-555.
Do you guys want people to follow you that listen to this show, or do you specifically not want them?
I do want them. I'm
do your Twitters?
at Pensive Gorilla. You can follow me whenever you want.
Yeah.
I love it. I got 130 people hanging
Absolutely,
on every word
yeah.
I say.
I got at T-Money Bagels if you want to follow me.
McKenna?
Oh, at They Call Me Books.
Mike?
At Microphone Yo.
Microphone Yo. Cassie?
It's microphone with yo at the end.
Do you have one?
Do I have a Twitter? Yeah, at This Be Cassie.
I don't have one.
And it's Sweet Stunts Cassie.
Yes. Which, great name.
That's a great name.
Great name.
Why don't we call her that in real life?
Sweet Stunts Cassie.
Because you don't really see her do many stunts. But I'm going to do a stunt, which is called bringing this podcast to a conclusion. Good night, everybody. Thank you for listening. And check us out next week when we talk about 2019 drama.